The Run with Manny Wilson podcast is brought to you by Fifth Investments. Investing is the easiest way to double your money, especially when you do it right. Most of us need help with getting started, right? I'm telling you right now, Fifth Investments is the easiest way to take your first step. You can sign up for the daily trading journal, weekly newsletter, including trade ideas, market analysis, news, and information on navigating the stock market. They got you covered with long-term, short-term, options trading, and more. So go to fiftinvestments.com and use the promo code THERUN for $20 off your premier membership, or just sign up for free. Trade the stock market and perfect a skill that's going to last you a lifetime.
The information is not trading or investment advice. The newsletter is only a personal blog that is being offered publicly for general information purposes only.
This is not how it goes. As an official, you have to call the game consistently. And I will say this, and I mean it. I've seen throughout this game, I've seen constant BS over and over and over again from these officials. I've seen bad calls all throughout the game. So it really does not surprise me that when the late game came around and we seen a call where the referee could have.
Now tuned into the greatest.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The Run, the Manny Wilson podcast.
The best sports podcast there is.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. Now, look, man, let's get into it. We know what teams is going to Super Bowl 57. This is right after the game, man. The Cincinnati Bengals just lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. We seen the Philadelphia Eagles beat the 49ers earlier. So that only means one thing, which means the not the San Francisco 49ers. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be playing each other in Super Bowl 57. Man, and we seen such an incredible game today on Sunday. These past two games was absolutely crazy. To touch on it first, because it was the most recent, the Cincinnati Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs. What a game. What a game. Controversial calls, controversial flags throughout the game. Two teams battling it out. Two top dogs. They were in a dog fight. They were going crazy the entire game. A game with very little mistakes where each and every single mistake cost you the game, literally. Some way down the line, if you made a mistake, it ended up giving the team an extra possession or whatever the case was, extra yards, anything. Clearly, we seen you could not have made a mistake in this game or it cost you, just like we seen on that last penalty flag, which was a late hit that they called for Patrick Mahomes when he was running out of bounds. First things first, man. Look, kudos to both teams. First things first. Look, because I got to give credit to both teams. Before I even touch on anything too particular, I have to say, I don't think people understand how incredible it is. Let me take these off. How incredible it is that Patrick Mahomes played on a sprained ankle. A sprained ankle the entire game. Like, just think about that. Think about that. People get a sprained ankle and can't even get up and walk, yet alone this man got up and played a full game on a sprained ankle. If that don't say he got that dog in him, I don't know what tells you he got that dog in him, because that is absolutely nuts. And for him to play the game that he did, man, have the game he did, threw 326 yards, 0 interceptions. Yeah, he turned the ball over a couple times through fumbles, but he still played a great game throughout the entire game. Throughout the entire game. It was nice. We didn't see too many bad throws. We barely seen any bad throws throughout the game. Honestly, he still did a lot of Patrick Mahomes type of things, throwing as he almost got sacked and throwing off of 1 foot type of things. We see him evading the sacks. We seen all of those type of things still happen, and this man was playing on one ankle, one healthy ankle. That is ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. And if that doesn't tell you right there how much of a GOAT this guy is and how special he is, I don't know what can possibly tell you. Yeah, I get it. We've seen the stories. We heard the stories of all the other guys playing on injuries and playing different things. But damn it, as a quarterback who have to depend on their footwork every single time, and not that other positions on the field don't have to. So I mean, I respect that as well. But as a quarterback, that is incredibly difficult to do. That is incredibly difficult to do. So I have to give Patrick Mahomes his flowers first off. And now let's move to the call, because that call really gave the Chiefs a chance to win the game more realistically, because I thought the game was going into overtime. We seen the fourth quarter, they were around a 50-yard line, which means it would have been a 60-yard field goal, which is crazy. Yes, people can make it, but it's easy. It's much more difficult to knock down a 60-yard field goal than a 45-yard field goal attempt. But anyway, for the late game play, a lot of people were talking about it's a terrible call. The call shocked me. Some people said it was a solid call because it did happen. My opinion on this, and what I noticed and realized from watching this game, is the call happened because the player did hit him late. I will say that, and that's the way I seen it. He hit Patrick Mahomes late. Regardless of how it would have happened when he was running out of bounds, your momentum, whatever it is, if it's your momentum that carries you to pushing him more, if it's you trip and push him more, either way, the call did happen because of what happened on the play. We seen him push Patrick Mahomes as he was going out of bounds. So unfortunately, as a referee, you have to call that. Like, it's a bogus call. Don't get me wrong. Because if it happens throughout the game or any other points in the game, we may not have seen that. It's very, very likely we may not have seen that. I heard the situation of if this was a red zone situation where he was running to the pylon, we would not have seen that flag, which is also very true, because I actually agree with that. We probably wouldn't have seen that flag call. But as a matter of fact, if you watch the replay over and over, you will see that he was running toward him. Patrick Mahomes was clearly out of bounds, stepping out of bounds. He wasn't trying to gain extra yards off the run, and he still extended. The defender extended his arms and still pushed Patrick Mahomes. It's a tough mistake to capture, and it's a tough thing to stop yourself, but it's one of those things like you have to be mindful of, because as you see, it clearly cost them the game. It clearly cost the Bengals the game, because right now I probably wouldn't be recording this. We'd probably still be watching the overtime if this was the case. So it's very tough. But a lot of things happened throughout the course of the game. So it was a lot of bad flag calls. To me, the referees seemed as if they were looking for a reason to throw flag calls, whether it was a holding call, whether it was on the offensive line or defensive line, whether it was a pass interference call for the receivers and DBs, or whether it was just a basic intentional grounding, or as we've seen, a late hit call. We've seen the referees throwing these type of flags throughout the entire course of the game. And if anything, that should tell you as a defender and an offensive ball player that I have to be careful in everything that I do. We've seen taunting calls. We've seen PIs. We've seen grounding. We've seen holding. We've seen a lot of different calls that the referees called. All of them I didn't agree with. And some of them were just genuinely bad calls. Honestly, they were genuinely bad calls. But when you know the referees are throwing flags like that, you have to keep in mind. And it's incredibly difficult, especially when the momentum is as high as it was at that point in the game. When you know you have to give all or nothing, you have to give maximum effort in order to get a stop, it's incredibly difficult. And I feel like when people say, he shouldn't have threw that flag or he shouldn't have called that call, that's what we're thinking of. We're thinking of how these guys are giving maximum effort. So you should expect an extra shove. You should expect someone giving 100% effort on a play. And if he just so happens to push someone at the end of the play just because his momentum carries him, then it's expected. But unfortunately, that's just not how it goes. That's just not how it goes. As an official, you have to call the game consistently. And I will say this, and I mean it. I've seen throughout this game, I've seen constant BS over and over and over again from these officials. I've seen bad calls all throughout the game. So it really does not surprise me that when the late game came around and we seen a call where the referee could have held his flag or throw the flag, it damn near did not surprise me that they did not hesitate to throw the flag on the field. So I get it. I get it. I understand it's a bad call. But look. There's more to the game. There was more to the game. It was an amazing game. Kudos to the Cincinnati Bengals as well, because they played their asses off. They're coming back like that. They struggled in the first half, clearly, as we've seen. Second half, completely switched it up. One of the things I noticed with the Bengals that they were having a tough time with was that they couldn't really get into a flow early on. The pass protection was off. The Chiefs defense was really just pressuring the hell out of Joe Burrow, getting to Joe Burrow anytime they wanted. He couldn't really get a pass off. He didn't have time for his receivers routes to even develop. It was a struggle. It was a struggle early on. And I seen great adjustments, which I love seeing from any sport. Any coach that can make consistent adjustments throughout the game to help you win the game and get in a better position to win the game, I love that. I'm a fan. That's literally why I love big games and playoffs and intense games in general, because you're going to have to adjust at some point in the game. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how bad you're dominating a team. You're going to have to adjust if you want to win the game. And credit to the Chiefs, because they did a great job with that as well. But I noticed the Bengals, they started sending extra pass protection from the backs. And then they would break out into their routes after that. So that kind of helped them get the momentum going, allow Joe Burrow to start throwing the ball deep, making big plays. It was amazing to watch, honestly. And then the receiving core as well, man. Jamar Chase with the huge catch. Higgins had a huge catch as well with his touchdown catch. It was a lot of breakdowns we've seen from the Chiefs defensively that they corrected throughout the game, and same vice versa with the Bengals offense as well. There was some times where it was questionable play calling, or it was a questionable throw, or they just couldn't get a play off, honestly, because the Chiefs defense were holding their own. But again, we go back to those adjustments made by both sides, and credit to the Bengals for making those adjustments and keeping this game interesting, honestly, because for a minute, the way the game started, it looked a little rough. Let's be honest about it. It looked a little rough. I knew Joe Shiesty wasn't going to, completely lay down and get spanked or whooped on, but I was hoping it did come around, and eventually that's what the Bengals did. I'm the same with the Kansas City Chiefs. They didn't disappoint me at all. They didn't disappoint me at all. I was going for the Bengals. I was hoping the Bengals won. I wanted to see Joe Burrow finally go back and actually win his first ring. I was hoping to see it. But credit to Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs, because they really did fight. They fought hard throughout the game. So it was incredible to watch. Man, Pat Mahomes, he played a great game. It's a clear difference. I know before, and this is funny, I got friends who's absolutely on my ass about saying Pat Mahomes, he was still going back. They called it. Boots, I'll give you your shout out, man. Look, you called it. You said Pat Mahomes is going back to the Super Bowl, and that's what he did. So I'll give you that. But my huge concern with it in general, and this was clearly a concern going into the game, was that Pat Mahomes doesn't have the weapons that he once had. That displayed. The Bengals, they were actually able to double team Travis Kelce because they knew he was the only premier threat. We didn't have to worry about another top tier receiver breaking loose on a route or breaking loose on a one-on-one coverage or man-to-man coverage. Therefore, they was able to focus on Travis Kelce more and eliminate that. And that kind of made it tough on Pat Mahomes. We seen it did make it tough on Pat Mahomes because they started off the game getting downfield often and more they were able to get field goals. They were able to get some kind of points on the board. But come second half, they were only able to get one touchdown, and obviously they got that last game-winning point on the board, which was a field goal in the fourth quarter. So it was definitely a chess match with this game. Both teams, I give kudos to both teams, man, because they really balled out. They really did ball out. I'm glad it was a great game. But as far as the Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs, because this is the matchup we're going to watch now. Super Bowl 57, Kansas City Chiefs, Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to tell you where some of the advantages teams are going to have and some of the advantages the Chiefs might have and advantages Philly might have, disadvantages as well, because this game, I'm expecting a solid game here. Both teams are definitely evenly matched. I think Mahomes is going to be even more tough playing against this Philly defense. Philly's defense clearly played no games against the San Francisco 49ers. And we know Brock Purdy didn't play and you know, that could have obviously changed the game. But clearly, man, that Eagles defense is no joke. I once said early on in the season that the Eagles may be slightly overrated because of the competition they were playing. But I've seen them make adjustments when the going gets tough, and they've continued to thrive and continue to thrive under pressure when the game is on the line. All throughout the season. So I'm expecting them to go to the Super Bowl and do that same thing. Jalen Hurts in that offense, he's done that same exact thing as well. He's been balling. But one thing I think is interesting here between the Chiefs and the Eagles is that both quarterbacks are actually going through injuries. You got Pat Mahomes and his ankle injury right now. Jalen Hurts as well. He's not 100%, but he's still playing in the game. So this is going to be interesting here to see both of these quarterbacks go all out and give it everything they got. Now, for the Chiefs, offensively, I mentioned they're going to have to deal with the Eagles' D-line and the Eagles' defense in general because that's one hell of a presence. But also the Chiefs has to worry about stopping Jalen Hurts in that offense because that offense is very talented. We've seen the way Jalen Hurts can continue to pick apart defenses throughout the game. We've seen the way the option plays the option plays that they run, where it's RPO. That's the word I was looking for. That's the word I was looking for. We've seen the RPOs that they run, and it really throws defenses off because Jalen Hurts has the ability to run out of the pocket and run into the end zone himself, but also you have damn good running backs in that backfield next to Jalen Hurts. And then you got to worry about the pass as well. So it's going to definitely be a thing where Chiefs got to break down a film. They're going to have to watch and pay close attention. And it's going to come down to the wire. I'm hoping this is a great matchup here. Again, this is a rare reaction right after the game, knowing who's the Super Bowl. So I'm not going to give a prediction yet. I know that's exactly what you was probably waiting for, but I'm not giving you a prediction yet. I got to think about it just a little bit longer. I got to dwell on a couple things. I want to go back. I want to watch some film, damn it. I want to think about the receivers, the defense, the D-line, the DBs, the plays that they gave up, what happened in crunch time. Eagles really didn't have to play a crunch time game. They just had to stay solid. So a lot of it comes to play, man, who these matchups were before they got to the Super Bowl. Because, like, man, it plays a lot on the mental state. It plays a lot, man. So I'm not going to give my prediction yet. But I'm definitely excited about it. It was a hell of a Sunday night. We watched the Bengals, Chiefs, great game. Niners and Eagles wasn't much of a great game. Obviously, some people was expecting more, but I expected Philly to win that game. So that wasn't really a surprise to me. The surprise was seeing Brock Purdy go down. Other than that, man, I'm excited for this. I'm excited for the Super Bowl. We got a couple weeks to burn, so I mean, I ain't even got to rush my pick. I guess with that being said. But look, man, hey, I appreciate however you listen, whether it's on Spotify, iPodcast, iTunes, iHeartRadio, wherever you are listening. And you guys got to call in, man, because, look, this is Super Bowl, so we're definitely talking football, of course. Obviously, NBA has some things. I think Giannis is tearing it up tonight as well. But look, call in 219-413-9405. Let your takes be heard, man. Share your thoughts about these conference championships and the games that was happening, the calls that was happening throughout, and share your prediction of who you think is going to win and the reason why. We're going to air it back, man. I'm so excited for this. Glad we got our Super Bowl matchup. We got some guests coming in as well next, is it? Yeah. It's this week. So it's going to be cool, man. I'm super excited for it. Appreciate you for tuning in. I'm not going to keep you much longer. Whether you listen on iPodcast, therunusa.com, however you listen, I appreciate you. Much love. Spread some peace into this world. And I'll be back later on this week, and so on and so on and so on. The Run with Manny Wilson podcast is brought to you by Fifth Investments. Sports betting is cool, but you can really get the most out of your money trading in the stock market. You can make money when stocks go up, man. You can make money when stocks go down. But all you need is a little guidance. So use the Fifth Investment Stock Trading Journal to help you get started right away. Fifth Investments is a fantastic resource for daily trade ideas, market analysis, news, and information for navigating the stock market. They got you covered with long-term, short-term, options trading, and more. So go to fiftinvestments.com and use the promo code THERUN for $20 off your premier membership, or just sign up for free. Trade the stock market and perfect a skill that's going to last you a lifetime.
The information is not trading or investment advice. The newsletter is only a personal blog that is being offered publicly for general information purposes only.